Hello, hope you're all having a perfectly balanced day. I'm still doing pretty good on boards points it seems. I just got 8th place at the 374 player UK Open playing pure branded. A little bit before Age of Overlord released, I got 5th place at a 140 player regional, also playing pure branded. We also recorded this deck profile on a mountain on the Sunday. That video will aim to be up soon on the Tier 0 channel, and I'll do YouTube shorts on it on this channel too. This is a normal deck profile though, and with no further ado, enjoy. So we have 3 Alba, 3 Albaz, the third one comes up for grinding, and it's actually a pretty good card to draw going second as well. 1 Cartesia. I don't play 2 because sometimes it can just be a normal summon, or it ends up being the extra engine piece that you don't need, because you don't want to draw too much engine cards. 1 Quem because it's a normal summon, and we don't want to play too many normal summons. 1 Saronir, 1 Lubellion, 1 Albion, and then 1 Mercuria and 1 Tragedy. I don't play more than 1 Albion because I play Prosperity. 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Opening, 3 Fusion Deployment. This card's really good because even if you already have your Cartesia access, or it's in deck no more, getting into Albaz with this going second is still very good. Then 3 Thrust, and 1 Talents. I only play 1 Talents. I don't think it's worth to play more than 4 of these cards because a lot of decks don't play hand traps, or don't play many hand traps. And going second into a deck like Rescue Ace, they don't often use monster effects first, so these cards can be a bit awkward to use sometimes. And another reason why I don't play more of them is because sometimes the hand trap that you actually pass to more than Ash is Imperm, and the cards don't help you beat Imperm. Then 3 Droplets and 3 Super Poly. These cards don't help you beat Imperm either, but I don't think that the books are very good right now. For the regional that I topped, I played 3 Book of Moon and 3 Book of Eclipse over these, because this was pre-Age of Overlord, but post-Age of Overlord decks are making much better boards, where Book of Moon doesn't trade very well into those boards, but these cards help a lot. They also help you dodge Imperm going second, which is pretty important. So they help you beat Imperm going second, but not going first, of course. And in 3 Prosperity, I think this card is insane and branded, and I talked about it a lot in the last deck profile I did for branded, which was quite a while ago now, but I think this card does everything that you want, because it either gets you into your missing engine, so like a starter or an extender, or way to push over a board. You can find a board breaker, you can find Alba, you can find Branded Fusion, and you can do it for free, like, all the time, and if you really need to, you can afford to do it for 6. 1 Branded in red, and 1 Branded Lost, then 1 Foolish Burial and 1 Gold Sark. Normally I only play Gold Sark and don't play Foolish Burial, because Gold Sark is better than Foolish Burial in this deck, because Gold Sark can find you either a Despia monster or an Albaz monster, because you can go through Tragedy or Mercuria. Whereas Foolish Burial can only get you into a Despia monster, because you can only dump Tragedy. But I chose to play Foolish for this event, because I was breaking a bit too much. I wanted an extra card for consistency. Then I play 1 Retribution, and the only hand trap I play in the main deck is 1 Imperm, which is for Thrust, and the other Thrust target, which is also the best card in the deck, by far, is the Goat, which is Fusion Duplication. So what this card does is when they ash your Branded Fusion, you use Thrust, and then you Thrust to set Fusion Duplication from deck, and then you copy Branded Fusion with this in their turn, and then you just do your full combo in their turn anyway. In the regional that I topped before this one, I was playing the Puppet in the main deck because I could Fusion Duplication into the Light Albion monster, and then still Puppet lock them after they ash me, which was really good. I didn't play Puppet for this event though, because it didn't seem good to play when people are playing lots of Droplets and Super Polys and Bystials, and I didn't want to lean into those too hard. Onto the extra deck, we have 2 Albion, 1 Lubellion, 2 Mirror Jade, 1 Albalenitus. So 2 Lubellion does come up, but I think there's cards which come up more in the extra deck. A lot of the time, as long as you manage your resources correctly in the late game, you don't really need a second one. And this card I think is actually really important right now, because Dragon Link is really good, and a lot of decks end on Savage, so you can at least trade your Albaz with a Savage for free, which is very nice. Also a thing that you can send off of Mirror Jade to search for branded fusion or fusion deployment. Speaking of which, another thing that I forgot to mention is that you can use fusion deployment to copy spells other than branded fusion. So you can use this to copy something like fusion deployment, and you can summon Albaz from deck in their turn, and then fuse with their monster. Or you can use this to copy Super Poly, and you won't get the can't respond clause from this when you copy this, but because it copies the effects, you don't have to pay the cost to discard, which is very nice. You can also target your opponent's cards with this in their grave, so if you get hit by Super Poly, you can use this, target their one, and then do it back to them, which is really funny. Going further into the extra deck, we have Rinbrum, Albion. Even though I don't play the Puppet Lock, this card is still really good, because you can do plays with duplication where you use Mirror Jade, then you fuse Mirror Jade off with Cartesia to make Stepelia, and then you can use duplication to summon this, and then you can bring back Mirror Jade and use Mirror Jade again, and then you can use duplication to bring back Mirror Jade, use Mirror Jade to banish again, and then on top of that you still probably have the Rinbrum engraved too. Rinbrum, I think, is what makes this deck so good going first, is because even if they use Ball Breakers to out what's currently on the field, they can't deal with the Mercuria in hand plus this and the Albaz engrave. Another thing to mention is that I'm not playing Dragoon. I've always really disliked playing Dragoon in this deck. I think it's a crutch card, to be honest. I don't think that it's worth playing the Brick or the card in the extra deck. It comes up when you get shifted, but a lot of the times you can just go into Stepelia and search Alba by dumping Tragedy and Albaz, by going through Libellion and then doing this to make Stepelia, and then you get to search an Alba for follow-up. Most decks right now which are maining or siding Shifter normally cannot kill you through Stepelia. Every time that you make Dragoon when you aren't being hit by Shifter, it feels insanely minus, because you have to discard a card for Libellion, and then another card for Dragoon, and you want cards in hand to discard for Albaz. And on top of that, in this format in particular, cards like Super Poly and Droplet are very popular, which means you go even more minus when you make Dragoon. So it felt really bad to play it for this event. And I play one Grangu. 2 doesn't come up too much because I only play for one Cartesia. One Caritas, you can play Proscenion on it as well. I think Proscenion comes up more if you play an SP Little Knights in your extra deck, because you can go Proscenion, take their IP or their Soul of Rage, then you can use that on their turn to make SP. But Queer Artist is very good for surviving. One copy of Titana Chad. This is what I play to send off of Grand Goo to summon Quem from deck in the end phase. A lot of people do the same thing by sending Lulu Wallowith. I prefer playing this card though, because it has more utility, because you can both send it to summon Lulu Wallowith, but you can also summon this still by using Albaz and like any monster they have which has 2/5 or more attack. And it also comes up to out Noir sometimes if they make it without Delicious, because you just summon this and then punch over it. And there isn't really space for both Lulu Wallowith and this, because I am playing the 2 targets for Super Poly, the generic ones. This one also comes up sometimes too, just to send off Grangu to get a draw. I think I did that once recently. And then Mudragon comes up outside of Super Poly still sometimes, where you make it with Libellion to like, play through runic cards if people are playing runic decks or that sort of thing. And then the last card in the extra deck is one copy of Guardian Chimera. And then onto the side deck, we have one Pancratops and 3 draw for the combo decks, and then I play 3 Cosmic. So what I normally do is, if I'm going second against Unchained or a different deck that I think will side anti-spell fragrance against me, I put in these 4. If I'm going second against a combo deck, I put in these 4. And against something like Rescue Ace, I'll put in these 4, because I play a lot of back row hate. So this worked really well, because it meant I had a very clear siding pattern, because the obvious cards I wanted to take out going second was Foolish Burial, Gold Sark, and then Mercuria and Fusion Dupe, because Fusion Dupe has a lot less utility going second. And we don't really need all those extra pieces of consistency going second. and searching Mercuria for negation comes up a lot less going second. And it also meant that against a deck like Labyrinth, which I had not so much coverage for in the main deck, I had a lot more coverage for in the side deck. Then 1 Cool Weather going first, and 2 Eclipse for going first. So the starting pattern going first against most decks was that I would take out either 3 Super Poly or 3 Droplet, depending on the matchup. And I would put in these 3, because this stops Ash and this stops Imperm. And even if you don't get Impermed, you can just set this as an extra piece of interruption. I chose not to play Cross Out because I didn't want to play Ash because hand traps are cringe. And then 1 Held Over Abyss. This card is good for outing Noir because you can just thrust into this, so it's just a one-off card I have to put in my side deck to deal with Noir. For the last card we have 1 Masquerade because it makes them pay their taxes.